everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is all about Miss Natasha Denona's new collection, which is the mini love story. So I just picked this up on the Natasha Denona website. I was able to get it during the pre-order and it actually shipped out pretty quick. I was very impressed. So you can buy this collection for $95. Without the box, you can buy all three of the pieces for $80. So I basically spent $15 for the box. I really didn't need the box, but I didn't see the other collection that was available for $80. I just saw all three of them and just decided to buy them that way. But I probably should have bought it without the gift box. You definitely don't need the gift box, PS. But the eyeshadow palette is $25 each. The Love Cheek Duo is $42, or the lipstick is $25. That is the deal on that. So I'm going to go ahead and apply them, play around with them, give you my thoughts on them. And I also swatch it next to a lot of the Natasha Denona products that I have in my collection. So there's a lot of like misinformation out there. But if you look at the actual description of this palette on their website, it says that it is in this palette. So I will show you guys the comparison. I wouldn't say it's the exact same formula. In the Daria palette, it has a little bit of like a, kind of a rough type of, not rough to the touch, but it looks rough. It's got kind of a little holes in the top of it until you rub your finger across it. So it is a different formula, I would say, but they're pretty much the exact same color. I would say that this one and the new one is a little bit darker, but I think it's not because of the shade. I think it's because of the formula. I also found this highlighter. They say that this is a new shade, but I found a shade in my collection from Natasha Denona that's pretty much almost identical to this shade. So we're going to get into that once we get into the swatches. Of course, I will do swatches and comparisons of all three of the products in this video so that you guys can see and decide if this is something that you need to add into your collection. So these are available for pre-order now on the Natasha Denona website, and they will be coming to all other retailers on January 28th. So if you guys are in the United States, you can pick it up at Sephora or Beautylish on January 28th. But for now, they're only available on the Natasha Denona website. So that's what we're doing in today's video, you guys. Let's go ahead and jump into the applications of all three of these products, and then we will jump into the swatches, and then I will see you all in my final thoughts. Like, this actually came broken, this shade right here in the palette, so I kind of pressed my finger down in there and tried to go back down in there, but it did, you know, it did come broken. But the nice thing is sometimes when a shade breaks, it will like completely destroy the entire palette, but it was pretty much just in this area, and I just went ahead and cleaned off the lid, so it's fine. I can use it that way. Okay, first things first, I'm gonna grab this shade right here. I want to see how that shade will work on my skin tone. It looks a little bit lighter in the pan, but I know Natasha Denona's formula, and even though it can look lighter in the pan, the formula does build up really well. So I'm kind of curious to see how this shade works and if it will build up in the crease. So, oh yeah, it's a pretty color. I'm just gonna place it here on the outer corner. I'm going to switch brushes for a minute, and I'm going to grab that shade, place it here on the outer corner. I'm not really worried about this because I will be kind of cleaning all this up, so I'm just kind of going to buff right here in this area to kind of build this up. I'm going to grab that shade and also bring it here on the inner corner. Going to bring that shade on the lower lash line. I'm not getting any fallout from that shade. Even though it's a little powdery in the actual palette, it's applying really easily. Like, I'm not having any issues with the shade. It's very smooth matte and typical Natasha Denona formula. So I'm going to kind of leave that there for now, and I will probably fix those edges in just a minute. I want to go ahead and move on to the dark shade. So I'm going to go ahead and go into this dark purple, and I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of it, and I'm sure it's pretty pigmented. So I'm going to bring some of that here on this outer corner. And also right here on the inner corner, but not all the way to the inside of the inner corner. Just kind of keeping it right in this area. And bring it right here in the middle. That purple is pigmented. The dark purple, it's got pigment. So I would definitely go in with a very light hand just to ensure that you don't get too much, because it's a lot. And I'm going to go into this shade. I want to see what this shade will look like right on the center of my lid. So I'm going to place that right here. Oh, that shade's really pretty. It's a very, what I like about it is that it's a very smooth formula, and it's not super, super shiny. Like, it is a very soft pink, very soft. It doesn't have a lot of sparkle to it, but it's really pretty. I'm just going to kind of blend out these edges. Okay, I'm going to take a flat tip definer brush, and I'm going to go into the dark purple right here in the center. I'm going to smoke this into the lower lash line. I'm also going to take that dark and put it on the upper lash line right here at the base. Okay, so I went ahead and added some concealer. Let's go ahead and put this shade right here on the inner corner. I want to see what that will look like. And I might pop just a tiny bit, like right on the center of the lid. Ooh, that shade is pretty. That shade is pretty. I'm also going to put some of that up here on the brow bone, like right there. Perfect for that brow bone and inner corner highlight. I'm going to take just a tiny bit of that and stick it like right here in the center, just to give a little bit of dimension. That is so pretty. That just kind of just made it pop and gave the center just a little bit of something. Okay, so I'm back, and this is the final look, and I love the way that this turned out. It's just kind of soft and very kind of purpley Valentine's Day, and I really like this eyeshadow look. I think it's really pretty. My lashes are kind of going through a funk. I don't know if you guys have that experience, but right now my lashes are in a funk, and they are being a big pain in my butt. But so let's go ahead and jump into the face palette. It's really pretty and very small, and I kind of like the glitter and stuff that's down inside here. Really pretty packaging. When I put my finger in it, you can kind of see where I pick it up. And when I swatch it, it feels very kind of chalky like as it dries. So it dries really smooth, and I really like this. I think I'm going to apply this with a sponge. I think a sponge might work best with this formula. I'm going to take this side of my sponge, and I'm just going to grab just a little bit and see what it will look like. I'm going to try it with a brush just for reference, just to see how it works. Yeah, the brush works okay, but I think the sponge is the best. The brush works though, so for those of you that prefer a brush, I think the brush works fine. Really pretty formula. I'm really impressed with the formula on that. I am. Let's go ahead and play with the highlighter. Okay, so that's the highlighter, and it's kind of a, it's got a little teeny bit of like transition to it. I wouldn't say it's full holographic, but it's leaning that way. So when you look at it at one dimension, it looks a little bit more pink, but when you look directly at it, it's got a gold shift. So it has a multi-dimensional shift to it. And I'm excited to try it out. I'm just gonna run my brush through it like this. Yeah, that's a very soft highlighter. I wouldn't say it's overly pigmented. I would say I think the I Need a Nude is a little bit more pigmented than this one. This one's just a little bit more of a softer shift, but you can still see the shift. And I like the highlighter too. I think the highlighter is really pretty. I like the highlighter. Yeah, I think the highlighter is really pretty. You can see kind of how it has that gold shift to it as I kind of move my face. And yes, it is kind of exaggerating the texture, but I wouldn't say it exaggerates it any more than any of the other highlighters that we use. So, you know, that kind of comes with highlighter territory, you know? Let's go ahead and open up the new lippy. This is a part of her I Need a Nude collection. This is 36 NP Amorosa. So this is the shade. That is a very pretty nude. So I'm just gonna apply it without any lip liner for now, and we'll see what it looks like without a lip liner. Really pretty nude. You know, there's a few of her I Need a Nude lipsticks that I have to wear a lip liner with. This one I can get away without wearing a lip liner, but I kind of feel like I want to wear a little bit of a lip liner just to kind of add a little bit of dimension to it. I'm gonna grab the Iconic Nude from Charlotte Tilbury. I think that might go really pretty with it. Okay, so those two colors together works perfectly. So this is the final look from the new Natasha Denona Mini Love Story collection. We're gonna go ahead and jump into the swatches, and then we will jump into my final thoughts. Okay, so now that we've made it through the swatches, let me go ahead and get into my final thoughts. I went on the Natasha Denona website and confirmed that this shade is in the Dyra palette. So therefore, if you have that big palette, you definitely do not need the small palette. Unless you want one that's travel friendly. I mean, if it's something that, you know, you use a lot and it's a bugger to travel with, then this might be something to consider. But I'm going to go ahead and swatch them side by side so that you guys can see that the shade is pretty similar. I would say that the new one, which is this one, is a little bit deeper, and I think that might be because of the formula. But I think once they're applied on the cheek, I don't know that they're going to look that much different. But I will say this highlighter right here, when I was swatching the other Natasha Denona palettes that I have, this shade right here is very similar to this shade in the first, this is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette. This shade right here definitely looks very similar to that shade. So this one I would say is, so as you can see, they look very similar, right? Like definitely maybe not exact, but I feel like once you put them on the face, they're not going to look that much different. So the moral of that story is if you have this big palette and you have the Bloom palette, you definitely don't need this new one. I kind of feel like $42 for something that you already have is kind of a waste, you know? If we put all of that to the side and just talk about this palette alone, I think this is a great palette. I think the pigmentation's there. I think she got the formula right when it comes to this cream blush. It applies beautifully. It doesn't give that translucent look where everything underneath kind of pops through, which will happen a lot of the time with a cream blush. It has enough pigment to give a base to the skin to where it doesn't kind of go on and become more of a sheer kind of color where it brings all the imperfections from underneath the foundation. I don't feel like it disrupts the foundation. I think it's a great formula. The highlighter is very beautiful, applies very skin-like, and I like the palette overall. I definitely give it a 10 out of 10. Like, I think it's a great palette. Now, as far as the eyeshadow palette, same thing. This is a great, cute little palette. And for those that love these purple tones with the pinks, this is a gorgeous little palette to pick up. I really like her minis. Her minis are kind of my favorite. I will be honest, her minis are my favorite. I like them because they're small, they're more affordable, and they're kind of just packaged perfectly. It's not so much work to try to figure out what look you're gonna create. When you have 5 shades that all kind of go together, it's kind of takes the brain work out of it, and you can just pull the colors together and it just works. So I really like this palette. I think it's a beautiful palette. If you love the color story in here, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I didn't have any issues with it, and I really like it. I think it's really pretty. But I do think you definitely have to love purples in order to kind of justify buying it. If you don't really love purples, then you probably don't necessarily need it. Same goes for the lipstick. Beautiful color, beautiful formula, and I think this is a big winner. I really do love the formula on her I Need a Nude collection, and I really love this shade. I think it's very beautiful. So this entire collection is fantastic. I think it all just depends on what you have already in your collection. And I think based on some of the swatches that I've shared with you, hopefully that will kind of give you an idea of where to go from here. Whether you really need these in your collection or not, that's completely up to you. But as far as the formula goes and all of that, I didn't have any issues with any of it. It's just fantastic. So I hope that this review was helpful. Thank you so much for hanging out with me in today's video. I hope that you guys all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in my next video. Love you. Bye.